So to begin our Rex Ray collage project, what we're going to need to do is focus on our analogous colors. And what I want you to do is pick 3 colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. Colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel, we call analogous colors. They're right next to each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look on my color wheel and I'm going to pick 3 colors that are right next to each other. So here I have a complex color wheel. It has the primary colors, it's got the secondary colors, and it even has an intermediate color slice on it. That's called tertiary. Super advanced. You don't need to know that right now, but it is kind of fun to know. If you want to take a look at this more simple color wheel, this could also help you. So if I want to pick 3 colors that are right next to each other, I could pick purple, red, and orange. Let's go ahead and do that. So if I pick purple, red, and orange, are they right next to each other? Yes, that means they are analogous colors. So purple, red, orange, right next to each other. Those are going to be my 3 analogous colors. So what you can do for this is you can use any color material that you have. You can use paint, you can use markers, you could use crayons. Let me show you what I would do if I had crayons. So purple. I'm going to need to find a purple, I'm going to need to find a red, and I'm going to need to find an orange, because those are the analogous colors that I chose for this project. So those are my 3 analogous colors, and I have my 3 analogous colors picked out for my crayons. Now the cool thing is you're going to go rummaging through your recycling and just find like some regular old scraps of paper or some newspaper, because that's actually what Rex Ray used in his first collages, was recycled materials. And it's okay if there's already stuff on them, because we're just going to color right over it. This paper plate, I think it was used for like holding chalk pastels, but you know, it's still good. I could still use it. So I'm going to take my first color, orange, and I'm just going to color my first recycled material that I found. I'm going to color it a nice orange. And then I'm going to repeat this with my purple. I'm going to cover this whole thing with purple if I wanted to. Actually, I could even break into my purple marker. Add some color this way. Or if you wanted to, you could use your purple paint if you've got that hanging around at home. So I'm going to finish coloring this orange. I'm going to finish coloring this purple. And I'm going to color this. I'm going to use the side of my crayon to add some nice red to my newspaper. And I'll show you afterwards. I'll probably add some red marker to this too. So hold tight and you'll see in a second what it looks like. Okay, so I am all done adding color, my analogous colors, to my recycled materials. I've got a purple paper now, I've got an orange paper now, and a red. Now what we need to do, these are going to be the pieces that we're going to cut shapes out of. We need a background paper to collect and glue them on. So I've grabbed another piece of recycled paper here. Hey, it's me. And I'm going to add color to the back side of this. Now, to really make your collage stand out, what I want you to do is to think about your 3 analogous colors and think about what's opposite. What would be the complements of those colors? So I chose purple, red, and orange. If you look, what is the opposite of those colors on the color wheel? Well, technically all 3 of these, but look at what's right across from all of these, green. So I'm going to say green, since red is my middle one. I'm going to take green as my complement, my opposite color. And I'm going to take a green crayon and I'm going to color this whole background with green. And yeah, I might get a little spicy and I might put some different greens in there too, because, you know, I like a little variety. I'll show you what it looks like. So I went ahead and I grabbed a green crayon. I tore the wrapper off of it and I used the side of it to add a quick color. It's kind of light in a lot of areas though. Oops, broke that crayon. So I'm just going to go through and darken it a little bit with the tip of the crayon. And sometimes it's nice to keep your lines going in all the same direction, just like this. See how I'm coloring all going straight back and forth? So that's what I'm going to do to really make sure I have a consistent, the same background for my collage to be built on top of. And I love that we're using recycled materials for this project, because I know that oftentimes we might run out of paper at home, you know, like nice, clean, plain drawing paper. But there's always going to be some junk mail floating around, or some newspapers, or magazines even. There's all sorts of paper products floating around that you can use as materials for your artwork. All right, so there's a nice background of a contrasting color, an opposite complement, you know, for my analogous colors. So this is what we're gonna build our collage on top of. But first, we've got to do some shapes. So I'm gonna put my background to the side and I'm gonna break out my colored paper. And we're going to break out the scissors and start making some shapes. Now, if you want to, you can use a black crayon or black marker and you can draw your shapes onto your paper. Or if you want to, you could even find some objects around your house to put on your paper and then trace around, so that you can get some really crisp shapes, some interesting shapes. Or like I said, you can just free draw. So I'm gonna do some bigger shapes here, maybe some organic shapes here. Notice how I'm kind of filling out the paper first, and then I can take my scissors. And what I like to do is my big cut first. So see how I cut my shape out? And then I do my careful cutting after. So it's a lot easier to handle a smaller piece of paper as opposed to a big piece of paper with all those shapes still on it. Boom. There's one shape that's been freed. I'm going to free the other shapes. Again, I'll do my big cuts around it to free the shape. And then my careful cutting comes after. And what I want to do is I want to cut out a bunch of shapes. And it doesn't mean that I have to use all of them. But what I want to do is get all my shapes gathered first so that I can compose, make a plan with my picture. Wow, newspaper is really super thin and it cuts. Like, it's a little trickier to cut because it's so skinny and thin. All right. I'm going to cut out some more of these. And then, obviously, I've got two other pieces of paper here that I can also do some shapes on. Again, if you want to, you can find some objects floating around your house and you can trace them to get some nice shapes. Or if you want to, you could just, you know, go for it. Dive in. It might actually be nice. I think I want to do some rectangles of color, maybe. And those I don't need to draw. I know I can just kind of cut that out right there. Let me get these. I'll do a quick cut to free the shapes. And then I'll do my careful cutting after, just like this. So I'm using my helper hand to hold my paper, and it's turning the paper as my scissor hand is cutting. I tell you, the more art you make, the better you get with these glorious hand tools that we all have. Oh, and now I need some purple. Let's see. Maybe this time what I'll do is I will add some little shapes. Now, if you make your shapes too crazy, remember, you're going to have to cut these out. So you might not want to make things too wibbly wobbly or too wavy, because those wavy lines are a little trickier to cut out, aren't they? All right, I'm going to free the shapes and then do my careful cutting. And then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my plan, my composition. So you see how as I'm cutting out my shapes, I'm putting them on my background paper. So I'm trying to stay a little organized over here. You can do that too. All right, I'm going to take my time, cut on the line. This is that trickier wibbly wobbly organic shape that I decided to draw. It's a little tricky, but I got it. Just take your time. Twirl around on that line with your scissors. Boom. All right, let me clear the area and let's slide this over. So here's my background and here's all my pieces. Now this is the fun part. When you've got all your pieces cut out, this is when you can just start playing with making a picture. And you can decide to put these wherever you want. Sometimes it's fun to put them on top of each other, maybe a little overlap. Overlapping is when one goes on top of the other. See? And maybe a little something right here. Well, that's kind of fun. Yeah. Or you could even turn it this way. Whoop, there we go. How about that? Or maybe, I really like what this is doing, so I'm going to keep this. These wibbly wobbly pieces, I don't know about. What I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can make a stack. No, let's try that one. No, maybe this. Oh, I kind of like that. So you can play around with what you have first, and then when you're happy with what you have, that's when you're going to break out the glue and you're going to start carefully taking it off and gluing it down. And if you want to, if you're really happy with your plan, you can always take a picture of it, take off your pieces, and then look at your picture to make sure you put everything back where you liked it. So that could be something that you do also. All right, so I know that if I like this, what I can do is I can start gluing things down. Oh, well, it might be good if I grab a glue stick that actually is gluey. Oh dear, hang on, I'll be back. All right, so I ditched the glue sticks and I went for the glue brush. So here's my little tub of white glue. It looks like paint, but it's actually glue. And I'm gonna put my glue on the back of my small pieces, right? And then put it back where I liked it. Remember, it's not super glue, so it's not going to stick instantly. So you have to kind of do a little pressing and holding. Do, 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 do. There we go. Love it. Let's slide this little purple guy underneath. Still got a little glue on my glue brush. Boom. There. You notice my glue brush is, it's one of those plastic bristled brushes. These are inexpensive, and I don't really like them for painting because the plastic bristles, they just don't do a very nice job of holding onto paint and spreading it around. But man, these brushes are amazing for glue brushes. Because you can, if you get glue on these and it dries and it gets all icky, you can just stick it in a cup of water, let it sit in a cup of water for like, you know, maybe a half hour, an hour, go back to it, wash it, and it is just as good as new. There we go. Flip that. Put my big old shape right there. I like to think of it as like a rock. Yeah. And then I'll put this one up here. All right, I'm going to keep gluing, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Remember, it's going to be a matter of remembering where your pieces go. So if you need to, take a picture and then work off of that. Or just kind of slide them up out of the way like I did here. Make sure you press and hold, because see how they're kind of curling up? Sometimes you got to press and hold and count to 10, sometimes even 15. So I'm just I decided I wanted to add some more. So I glued everything down that I had, and I still have some extras. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to free cut some shapes. I'm going to do like a crescent moon like shape. Maybe to put right there. Oh, and you know what? Maybe what I'll do is I'll repeat that crescent moon shape in the other 3 analogous colors. That might be kind of cool. All right, I'm going to drill it up. And then I'm going to cut inside. Boom. There's another crescent moon shape. And then, where's my red? Here it is. Oh, I still got some shapes on there that I can cut out. I'm going to turn this oval into a crescent. Just by cutting into it like that. There. Oh, and you know what? I think I got to cut a little smaller. Let's cut you a little smaller. There, and I'll glue those down, see what that looks like. Oh yeah, there we go. And I mean, you could feel free to, you can switch it up and change it up. Oh my gosh, when I flip it upside down, look, it looks like a little meh person. Meh. I like that. And then like this, I don't know. I think like this, it looks like a table with something balanced on top of it. Could be dinner table. And then like this, it's almost like a little plant growing off the side here. And maybe these are planets that are merging together. I don't know. That's the beautiful thing about abstract art. When you're focusing on just the color and the shapes, man, your imagination can have a lot of fun with this project. Can't wait to see what you make.